Thomas Orville Kilgore and the whole family is there for the portrait, including the kids, dog, and gun. Tennessee, 1909. Albert Einstein presented with a headdress and pipe by members of the Hopi tribe at the Grand Canyon, 1922. Einstein and his wife were visiting there, and the couple was convinced to pose for a photo with the Indians in front of the Hopi house. In 1886, after Bessie Colvin left Alice Abbott's El Paso brothel for rival Etta Clark, Abbott punched Clark in the face. The angry Clark returned with a gun and shot Abbott in the groin. A jury acquitted her, perhaps amused by the tiny woman defeating the 200-pound madam. Big Nose Kate, born Mary Catherine Horney, became famous through her connection to gunslinger Doc Holliday. She got her nickname from her prominent nose. Meeting Holliday in 1877, they became inseparable, traveling through Dodge City and Tombstone. In Tombstone, Kate opened a popular brothel known for its high standards. Always the dapper Westerner during his ranching days in the Dakota Territories, Theodore Roosevelt wears his buckskin hunting outfit, complete with his favorite 1876 Winchester and his fancy table cutlery-handled Bowie. Before marrying Olivia in 1870, Twain promised to quit drinking if she asked. Years later, he wrote her sister that Olivia's health had worsened. Illness made her break her religious abstinence. Doctors approved her drinking ale as medicine. She battled sickness for life. Tom Blackjack Ketchum and his brother Sam rode through Texas, New Mexico, and Arizona as cowboys. By night, they became notorious outlaws, robbing trains and banks across the Wild West frontier. Their double lives shaped Western legend. Rodeo legend Bill Pickett died in 1932 after a horse kicked him. His friend Will Rogers honored him on the radio, saying, "Bill had no enemies, even the steers wouldn't hurt him." A tragic end for the cowboy who invented bulldogging. Red Cloud, legendary Oglala Sioux chief, led the 1866-68 war against the U.S. A fierce warrior with 80 battle honors, he posed for artist Joseph Sharp, but joked, "I do all the work and you have all the fun." His final portrait hid his failing eyesight. History remembers him for his distinguished service during the Civil War and Indian Wars. Yet George Crook dodged a bullet when he let his guard down at Tongue River. Bronco busters and cowboys at the rodeo in Denver, Colorado. The rich, fertile soil that made sod houses so popular on these treeless plains also made Nebraska a paradise for cattle ranchers. Kansas Senator James Henry Lane was an abolitionist jayhawker who led raids against pro-slave Missourians. His 1861 massacre at Osceola, Missouri, sparked retaliation when Quantrill's raiders burned Lawrence 2 years later. Buescher's Saloon in Columbus, Nebraska, 1899. In 1883, Buffalo Bill Cody rehearsed his Wild West show here with 72 performers. They drank at this saloon during breaks, reportedly the oldest tavern west of the Mississippi River. Known as the Lady Miner from Mineral Park of Mojave County, Cordelia Kay was credited with making one of the richest strikes in the Mineral Park area in 1902. A photo of Doc Holliday taken in Prescott, 1879, before he traveled to Tombstone, and 8 years before he succumbed to tuberculosis in Glenwood Springs, Colorado. Custer and his scouts during the Black Hills Expedition in 1874. Bloody Knife, who would be killed 2 years later at the Little Bighorn Battle, points at the map. The tent, marked NP, was a gift from Thomas Rosser of the Northern Pacific Railroad. The summer of 1900 nearly destroyed Nome. As the Bering Sea churned from gusts reaching 75 miles per hour, waves invaded Front Street and pushed cabins aside like bulldozers. Sharkey, the famous bucking bull, knocked off Tuck Reynolds at the 4th Pendleton Roundup in September 1913. It was taken by Ralph Doubleday, a well-known rodeo photographer and postcard publisher. This pack dog carries camping gear for his master. Strong and versatile, Dogs carried heavy loads in teams or pulled supplies using travois sleds, a method perfected by Plains Indian tribes for efficient transportation. Arizona lawman John Slaughter, cattleman and Cochise County sheriff, packed a pair of ornate Colt .45 revolvers. His 5.5-inch single-action Army pistols rested securely in his saddle's pommel holster. This photo shows the last meeting of the Fort Sill Apaches as prisoners of war at the Oklahoma fort in 1914. 4 hands play some card game or another at the Townsend and Pickett's Ranch in Indian Territory. The other 6 guys seem pretty disinterested in the action. Dr. William Carver wasn't a cowboy, but a dentist turned sharpshooter. Despite lacking Western experience, he co-founded Buffalo Bill's 1883 Wild West show. Partnering with legends like Buffalo Bill, this unlikely showman helped launch America's iconic frontier entertainment in Omaha. Lakota Chief Irontail survived the Plains Indian Wars and became a star in Buffalo Bill's Wild West show. His iconic profile later inspired the Indian head nickel. This photo captures the Sioux leader around 1900 as a resilient cultural symbol. On his expedition up the Colorado River in 1871, Lieutenant George M. Wheeler's survey team camped at the mouth of Black Canyon, the future site of Hoover Dam. The Fort Yellowstone Cavalry patrolled Yellowstone during the early days of the national park, 1903. From 1886 until the creation of the National Park Service in 1916, the U.S. Army was responsible for the administration and management of the park. In September 1877, a woman joined workers building Southern Pacific's Colorado River Rail Bridge at Yuma, the first locomotive to enter Arizona Territory. Scout artist Charles Stobie rides his paint horse in a Colorado field. Dressed in a bib-front leather shirt and double-loop holster belt, he grips reins in one hand and a quirt in the other. John Clum, Wyatt Earp's friend, ran Nome's post office while the Earps hunted gold in 1905. Mail still came by dog sled. Judge James Wickersham called Yukon mail carriers as tough as Old West pioneers, brave men enduring harsh wilderness to deliver for others. Charlie Russell stands before his unfinished mural, Lewis and Clark Meeting Indians at Ross's Hole, that now hangs at the Montana State Capitol. Irish twins John and Mike Meager fled the 1845 famine, settling in New York and Illinois. Later, they moved to Kansas. After Mike's death in 1865's Talbot shootout, rumors claim John sought revenge 15 years later. Cowboys gather around the Hash Knife Chuck Wagon in 1901 Arizona. At the time, these men lived together at the ranch house near St. Joseph, Arizona. Express guard Eugene Thacker, son of Wells Fargo Detective John Thacker, bravely fought in the Steins Pass shootout during an 1881 robbery, making him one of the legendary heroes of this gunfight. No photo exists of Apache war leader Mangus Coloradas. This rare image shows his son. After signing an 1846 peace treaty, miners attacked his people in 1860. Enraged, Mangus turned against U.S. settlers, raiding towns and homesteads. Virginia Ann Cooksey with her young son, Wyatt Earp, 1856. Father Nicholas named the boy after Captain Wyatt Berry Stapp, who led a cavalry regiment during the Mexican-American War. Little did they know this child would become the most famous lawman in American history.